I'm going to go ahead and start recording this, so now we're officially on the air. This is Shawn Hygen with ALP Cycles Coaching, doing a TrainingPeaks webinar for our athletes, so thanks everybody for joining me. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat for questions, but otherwise I'll stop before I switch over to Classic and take any questions that you guys might have. Okay, so first things first, I have shared my screen. And I've logged into my personal athlete account here. Let's see. Oops, I just made it too small. Now I have to make it bigger again. Sorry, I was on the large screen. Of course, this happens as soon as I start recording it, right? Let's see. Let me close that window. Okay. So here we go. We'll try it again. So I've logged in. You can see here, this is what you should all see when you log into your personal accounts. And the first thing that I like to do is always start out with logging in and going to settings, because a lot of people don't realize that you can click on your name up here, and here you see settings, help, switch to classic, log out. So if you click on settings, what this brings up is a lot of your account information. You can always reset your password anytime right here. You can update your address, phone number, cell phone. Oh, I did make myself 10 years younger. How nice of me. Busted. Actually, that had something to do with annual training plan, but I'll cover that later. So anyways, I'll correct my birth date right there. Go back to settings. So there you go. You can put in your date of birth. You can check your settings here, the date format, any coaches. So this is great if you happen to be a multi-sport athlete, or possibly you're an athlete that rides on a team and you have a team manager that has a TrainingPeaks account. What you see here is we just brought on Patricia as an ALP Cycles coach, and I added her as a shared coach to my personal athlete account. And I said she could go in there and play around, because this is, you know, now that I'm just a coach and not an athlete myself anymore, I kind of just use my account for playing around. So Patricia can go in there and make me training plans and look at data and all those types of things. You can actually sync your account. I think like I have it synced with my Google account. So if you take these URLs, you can actually add them to Google, and you can see your workouts come out on Google as well. The other big thing that I like to see is email options, post-activity comment notification emails. So one thing that ALP Cycles always does is we provide our athletes with only premium accounts, and the benefit of that is we get post-workout notification emails anytime our athletes upload a workout. So then we can go in and automatically comment on the workout straight away, and then you will also receive a notification that we commented on your workout, which is kind of cool. And then you can also get daily workout emails, and you can select the time that you want to receive them. And I think it does 2 days at a time, actually. And you can sign up for the newsletter or not. That's entirely up to you. The next thing under settings, this is also a good thing for athletes to know. If you ever have a question on your heart rate or power threshold values, you can always check it right here and check your zones. So here you see power, and it'll give you all the zones right here. If we were coaching any multi-sport athletes, we could put in paces and other things for swimming. But if you just click through, it just kind of scrolls down for you. If you happen to log nutrition, you can play around with it here. To be quite honest, I personally find the meal logging a little clunky on TrainingPeaks, so I don't really use it. I do use the bikes, though, equipment. I don't use shoes. If I was a runner, I would use shoes. So right here you can see I have all of my bikes listed, and you can even retire them as you get rid of them. So these are all current bikes that I have, and you can see my default road bike is this one here, affectionately called F-Bomb. It's my Focus, and I put in what it is. You know, it's a Focus Coyote Evo with Campy Course 11 and an info crank power meter. I can put in my crank length, which is really nice. If you had a certain number of miles on it, you could put it. sometimes people use the distance, you know, to remind themselves when to like get new chains, change tires, those types of things. But I do like to keep my bikes on record. The last thing under layout, under settings is layout, and this is another thing that I don't think people realize just how customizable TrainingPeaks is. So you can pick your workout. So if I wanted to pick bike, and I should backtrack a little bit here. What we see as coaches and what you see as athletes are not necessarily the same thing. So you can customize your own account to see what you like. I customize my coaching account to see what I like. When we get into dashboard views, there's a way for coaches to share that to their athletes. But here, I recommend that people get familiar with this because it really helps you get just the information you want and delete any noise. For example, you know, sometimes I don't really care about normalized pace. That's a running thing. Why would I include that in a bike workout up here? So I just have the key things that I like to look at: duration, distance, TSS, which is training stress score, which is a measure of the physiological toll that the workout took on you, combined with intensity factor. Just like it sounds, how intense was the workout? Next is energy and normalized power. Then, and that is for, you know, planned and completed. You can also go to minimum, average, and maximum. You can do heart rate, power, elevation, speed. One key thing that I see is missing here is cadence. So I'm just going to drag cadence over, and now it's in use. So I'm going to see min, average, max for cadence as well. Torque is a good one, but I'm not sure that that always displays right now in beta. Week summary. I just like to see hours. If I do an annual training plan for somebody, I could see the period. But again, if I wanted to see like race events, I could drag that over. For me, the big one is hours. Period I don't even really pay attention to. I kind of do that on my own. So there you have it. We'll just go ahead and cancel it. So now you guys have seen the basics under settings. I think you can, you have two options of viewing your account. You have calendar or dashboard. And the way that I like to explain these is calendar is kind of your day-to-day or week-to-week view. It's where you look for specific workouts. You look for, specific data. And dashboard is more of your fitness over time. So this is where you look for the big pictures. You can compare peak powers, duration, PMCs. I'll come back to all of these charts. But for now, let's look at calendar. This is where you'll get all your workouts from us. Technically, you don't ever have to log into TrainingPeaks as an ALP cycles athlete because you could use... are you guys getting feedback? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what I might do is mute you guys for a little bit, and then I'll take questions. Let's see here. Okay, sorry I turned you guys all off. Back to, let's see. Okay, so back to the calendar. You should see all of your workouts in here. Again, I like to see summary. I like to see how much I've done for the week. Distance, okay, this doesn't really count because I was on my trainer. TSS points, distance, again, the trainer, right? It splits it up into sports if you want it to. Elevation gain. You can look at all different types of things here. The nice thing about the new TrainingPeaks is that it is an unlimited scroll. So you can use your mouse and just go as far forward or as far back as you want. On the old version, you'd have to plug in how many weeks you wanted to scroll. So I'm using my just roller on my mouse now. And then if I just click on today, it'll bring me right back there. If you click on the date, you can also manually select what date you want to go to, and the little arrow keys scroll forward and back a week at a time. If you did want to expand into full screen, if you're kind of short on space, actually this might look better for the GoToWebinar, you can go ahead and go to full screen mode. Just like the old version, if you click on a workout, it expands tells you, you know, the directions for the workout, links, anything like that. And the same thing, if the paper clip is black, which you can't, it's hard to tell, but it is black here, you can always click on the paper clip to see if there's an attachment. So if I click on this, then it's going to open up the attachment that has the detailed workout instructions, how many sets, all those types of things. So we always do give you guys the full instructions for the workout. Even though this looks like it's just a bunch of links, you can always click here and get the document attachment. Now, if I want to look at a workout that I've already done, let's see here. Here's a trainer workout that was a couple of days ago, yesterday. So if I double click on it, it'll open, oops, maybe just one click on it. There we go. So it opens up when I click on it, and this is the short version, right? This is kind of the condensed. Remember when I was talking about equipment right here, I can go ahead and change it to the right bike. I haven't refreshed it. That's why it's probably not taking the default F-bomb. So here are some general stats. Remember, I had heart rate, power, elevation, speed. Again, I haven't refreshed. If I refreshed it, it'll probably bring up cadence. Oh, no, I canceled out of that. Sorry. So that's why it's not there. If I had added it and saved cadence, it would be there. All right, having trouble getting the workout to open. There we go. Now what I can do is expand this and see a lot of the data. If you want to add charts, any optional charts here you can add. So if I wanted to see my intervals, I can always drag that over. Here's my last and split column chart, which looks really nice. There used to be just a, looks like it was a trainer workout, so I can take out elevation gain, elevation loss. Don't really care about calories so much. Miles. So if I click apply, it cleans up the chart. Again, lots of customization available. So you only have to look at the information that you want. For example, if I know I'm on a trainer, I'm really not going to care about speed or distance, right? I'm not really going anywhere. So there you have it. I kind of deleted things and looked at my different intervals here. I have power by zone. Looks like it was pretty much a recovery day for me. Zone 1, Zone 2, a little bit in the other zones, but really pretty easy ride. Now the cool thing is peak power here. So I think I can expand this one. Maybe. Still learning data myself a little bit here. But the big thing I like to look at is compare with other workouts. So when I click on this menu tab here, I can select compare with other workouts, and I can select the time frame that I want to compare it against. So I picked a large one, but if I wanted to compare it against the last 365, last year, I can click apply. And there you see the dates changed there, 11/19 to 11/19. So this is the current workout, and this is in the past year where my peak power values were, which is nice because I can compare the whole year's workout to what I did today and see where I'm at. Other helpful things, you can always look at your peak power values here. Not only can you look at peak power, but you can look at peak speed. Again, we don't care because I was on the trainer, but you can also look at peak cadence. I wasn't wearing a heart rate monitor, or that would show up as well. But if I wanted to look at peak cadence, there you go. It looks like, my 1 minute peak was 115 RPMs, 112. In general, it looks like I had pretty good leg speed for the workout. And here is the actual workout graph. So you can see, based on the fact that it was largely a recovery ride, not a whole lot to look at. I do put up a scatter plot. I like to look at RPM, and it always defaults to distance, but you can select, I just want to see watts here. So right in the center where it's saying the bulk of it was, I was, pretty happy at, 89 RPMs at 97 watts. I call that a recovery ride. And then laps and splits, this is the graph format. This is what I was going to talk about before. It's really nice because if you are doing structured intervals, you can really quickly, I use this a lot with my athletes, I look at average power. So I look at decaying power, I look at steady state power. Depending on the workout, I might give them a workout that says do 3 by 5 minute intervals and, you know, max it from the beginning and hold on, you know, and tell them just to complete the intervals no matter what. Or sometimes I say, I want you to do 3 by 4 minute intervals, and I want you to maintain a steady wattage throughout. So I'll look and see on the average power, did they keep a steady output? Did they go really hard and blow? Did they increase at the end? Oh, thank you, Allison. Good point. This is where we really, really, really need you to push the interval button on your devices. I can manually go in and save those intervals, but I can tell you it's a lot of time and work, and it's just way too much of a hassle, and it's so much easier that if you get intervals on your workout, just to push the lap or interval button as you start an interval and as you finish it. Some people will ask me, do you want me to get up to speed first and then do it? You know what? I always just tell people, as soon as you start it, hit it. Or actually, it's just before you start it. I always hit it. And then as soon as I'm done, you know, the slightly neurotic person in me always has to go at least 1 second over to make sure that I get the full interval time. Then I hit the lap interval button again, and then I pull the plug. But I always try to do it before I start taking my rest. So I want to do it under load. And that produces the best intervals and the best numbers and data for us. So again, really helpful chart here. Now, this is a really cool thing. Let's see. Look at the data grid, which is another chart that any of you can add. This is really cool because if I wanted to fix some data, I could definitely do it line by line. However, that's me as a coach. I always tell my athletes, and I would think that the other outside growth coaches agree, I want to see your unedited data. If anybody's going to do data editing, it's going to be me or your coach. I'd rather just like to see the entire ride as it is. So leave the fixing to us. You can always mention it to us in comments or shoot us an email, but again, I always like to see the raw data. The cool thing here is I've actually been doing a little study with myself and just trying to collect some raw data on my imbalances from my 5 hip surgery. So you can see here, right power, and it has full power here, and here's what my right is putting out. So you can actually see, for some reason, I thought it did right and left, and I'm not sure. I apologize. TrainingPeaks data does have a few bugs on some stuff. But you can see, you know, 53 and 46 is my power balance, 56, 44, different percentages of right-left power. You can also see the time, if you care about latitude and longitude, it's there too. So those are the main charts that I use, but again, just because I use them doesn't mean that they're the ones that you have to use, right? Allison's going to set hers up so that she gets the information she needs, and I recommend that you set yours up to see the information that you need. So I'm going to unmute you guys, and if anybody has a question about anything I've gone over, go ahead and fire away. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Any questions? No? You guys are easy. All right. So let's see. Moving on from this. So that's basically your calendar and your summary. If you happen to save any workouts on your own, you can put them here. You should be getting all of yours from your coach. If you had training plans that you had purchased through TrainingPeaks, once you purchase them, they're yours to keep. Now, if in looking at mine, you have to remember that I worked at TrainingPeaks for over 2 years, so I had to do a lot of testing on things, so I have a gazillion plans. You might not have any because you have a coach. So I just wanted to show you what my account looks like and just be totally transparent there. If we go to the dashboard, I think most people really underutilize the dashboard, and to me it has just a lot of value. Again, instead of, we looked at some of these charts as a workout only, and now we can look at over time. So I actually use my dashboard with athletes all of the time. Here's the peak power. Again, I can go to settings. I can name it whatever I want. I just put in all. I can use whatever settings I have for the dashboard. So I can use dashboard settings, or I could do, last 730 days, and then I can compare just like I did on the workout version. If I'm doing of all time, then I want to do a custom date through today, and a lot of times what I will do is maybe like the past month. So I'll put in 10/19. Oh, let's see. And it might take a little bit to update. Let's see. Maybe if I do this month, and then I compare. Oh, TrainingPeaks. All right. Doesn't seem to be letting me. Maybe if I, let's see. If I play around with the dates here.
Try the apply button.
Yeah, it won't let me change the date range. But thanks, Sandy. Okay, so now you guys are starting to see a little bit why we switch back to Classic. I'm just going to skip that one for now. But in general, you can usually compare your power against like the last month against all time, or the last week against all time. So for me, why is that helpful? Well, if we're entering in, like coming up is an explosive period for our strength training. So we're going to get into plyometrics, and I'll be looking at everything from 10 to 30 second peak powers, and hopefully I'll see that, you're setting either close to or new PR, that you're hitting good numbers. Or maybe then later on in the year we go do a threshold block, and I want to see that, your threshold is getting close to your all-time peak or even better than your all-time peak. So I can check it for progress depending on our focus. You can look at duration, time and power zones. This one's kind of cool because it tells me, how much time is the person spending in different zones. And again, this is largely seasonal and individual, but it does give me a quick look at, where are they spending their training time. The other biggie that I use is the performance management chart. Is this the be-all, end-all? No. Is it a good guide? Is it a good estimator? Yes. So here comes a performance management chart. And you have to remember, again, we're just using my account, so not really a lot of structured training going on. But you can kind of see the blue line is your fitness level. And what that is it's it's a rolling average of the last 6 weeks of your training. The purple line or pink line is your fatigue level, and that's the last week of training. The yellow line is what's considered how fresh you are or what form you're at. So you can see, I'm very rested. But it helps when I'm using this for specific athletes. It's very individual, but I encourage you to start looking at this because you might realize that you're an athlete who likes to go in maybe not completely fresh to a race. So then that might be a yellow of, say, -10. If you're an athlete who likes to go into races really, really fresh, maybe that's a yellow line or a training stress balance of 10 to 15. Now, it's a fine line peaking, right? You want to rest, which will also cause detraining or a loss in fitness, but you also want to maintain as much fitness as you can, and that's where this chart kind of helps. You know, we can see if there's a period where I'm really tired. Here we go. My training stress balance, -63.1. My acute training load, 208. Chronic training load, 93.3. So I was pretty much in the hole. The next couple of days would not be a good day for me to go and race. Now, on the other hand, if you look somewhere here, I've got a chronic training load of 86 and acute training load of 88 and a training stress balance of -15. Knowing myself, I would probably rest one more day, and then I'd be pretty good to go for a race situation. And that's how we use it. I do have some athletes who are really keyed into their TSS, and they actually ask me to estimate TSS values for their workouts. And so it's another way that you can plot into the future. Like here you see, let's see, 1123. I can plan TSS values for the future and see how the chart is going to look. So this is a way that TrainingPeaks has enabled us to take peaking from an art to part art, part science. You know, again, I still take in my individual athletes' characteristics and preferences into consideration, but this gives me a good idea of where they're at any given time. The other cool thing is as you accumulate historical data, you can look back and see, wow, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? When did they crack? How high did I get them to their peak? Comparing them year on year. So this year to me looks like, okay, well, I was pretty steady, but I didn't really have a lot of peaks. Well, you know, here, I may not have the length of time, but I did get more fit for a shorter period of time than I was the whole year in 2012. So a lot of different things that you can see. The red dots are specific workouts, and the blue dots are specific intensity factors. So the red dots are TSS, and the blue dots are intensity factor. I can go ahead and minimize that. A lot of times I'll actually have two different performance management charts up on a specific athlete looking at two different time periods. For one, I might want to just really zoom in on the current month, and then I like to see all of the data that I could possibly have over time as well. So you can add duplicate charts and configure them different ways too, which is another important thing that we do as coaches. So hopefully that gives you a basic understanding of what we're looking at in TrainingPeaks. Did anybody have any questions about that? All right. So now we'll take a look at Classic. Let's see here. And I think you guys can all, I'm just going to close this workout. Okay. Same thing. If you do use Classic, you know, it's your settings. There used to be this thing called messages, but nobody ever uses it. You can change the language if you want to try to experiment and see what things look like in Spanish or Dutch. And here is where you can, on the sidebar, you can click between calendar and dashboard. Let's see if I can get rid of that. So the old TrainingPeaks, you had to click on show on calendar to see the number of weeks that you wanted to see. So I'll put in 4. And you can see it's pretty much the same. Total time, TSS. Here's my planned workouts. I also have them color-coded. So in the past, anything in the past is red, green, or yellow. Red is I either did way too little or nothing, or I went way over. Green is did it as planned, and yellow is you either went a little over or a little under. So it helps us quickly see, okay, are you on the program or not? If I was coaching this person, I would be like, what is going on? You're not doing anything that I'm telling you to do. In the future, it's color-coded by workout type. So strength is light blue, green is bike. Same kind of thing if you click on a workout. Let's see. Here's the trainer workout that I did. Same thing, the same stats, map and graph I can look at. And same sort of thing, here I can look at peak power, speed, cadence, any intervals that I did. When I click on, like if I want to see my peak 10 seconds, and I click on just the text portion of it, it displays the summary here. If I check the box, it actually highlights the section on the graph. Well, 10 seconds isn't very long, so people oftentimes can't find it. It actually is right here. It's a really short little thing, but it also tells me right here, 1857. So I could use the sliding bar down below because I know it's somewhere around 18 minutes. I could slide it over and expand that version. The nice thing about the Classic 2, you can switch between time and distance. Again, I was on the trainer, so it doesn't really help us. If I wanted to, I could highlight this section, and then it saves it here. So then I can also say, I went a little over to 11 seconds actually, but I could rename it, if it wasn't already documented, peak 10 second wattage. And then if I click apply, it's permanently in there. So when I was asking you guys to hit your lap or interval button, if you don't hit it and we have to go in and recreate the intervals ourselves, that's how we do it. So we kind of have to search. I think, let's see if I have a better example. So this should be a high cadence workout. We'll see if we can see it. If I don't want to see the map portion on the Classic, what I do is I click on the one square here. This is how many quadrants you're splitting your viewing into. So I click 1, and then I come over to map, and I click graph. Pretty good. It looks like I kind of wound it up as the intervals went on, but you can see here it was a 5-minute high cadence. Average cadence was 106. Yes, Coal Creek Canyon. That's where I live. Lap 4 was another high cadence interval. Cadence was 109. So you can see if I had to mark these on my own, because I was gradually ramping up the cadence. Let's see. You can see that it kind of progresses as it's going up. I'm working on my leg speed again. So max cadence was 130. If I had to mark these off myself, it wouldn't be the easiest thing. So having the intervals done is huge. And then when I look on the reports tab, this is where it really matters. So I can look here, and I can go to cadence, and I can sort fastest to slowest or slowest to fastest. So we can see here, see there's my 1 second, my 2 seconds. I can also check and see how long the intervals are for you and what's happening to my cadence. So it looks like once we get into the 5-minute, I can also sort. I can sort by any of the columns, right? So the other way. So we have the 5-minute segments in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 by 5 minute high cadence. Look back at cadence, and I can see what was the trend? Did I get faster? Did I get slower? Not too bad. It looks like number 9 was pretty good. Number 6, number 11. It looks like generally my later intervals were higher, so to me that's a good workout because all I was focusing on was leg speed. So I didn't really die at the end. Let's see, I think there's a chat. Oh, it's just Andy. Okay. So if I had started out at maybe like 115 and by the 5th interval I had dropped down to 90, that would, as a coach I can look at that and go, okay, maybe you started out a little too high. Or if you started out at 100 and your last one was 125, I'd say, hey, you know what, you probably had a little bit more in the tank. You probably could have started a little bit higher. So for things like on high cadence, I want to see either increasing or steady. If you want to know what your coach is looking for, I would definitely ask them when you get workouts if it's not clear. Let's see, there is also another biggie is the search function. So what I like to use the search for is if I have athletes that continually do the same route or like we're doing field tests. I think in the past I did maybe Lookout Mountain. So if I put in Lookout and if I want to do all dates, I can click search. So for you guys, what you would want to do is I search for a field test for my athletes, and I can quickly see all of their field tests right away. And if I click on it, like this one, let's see, this looks like an ALP ride. I can click on it and immediately go to that workout and see what they did, and then I can go to the next one and compare it and see what they did. It's not like WKO where you can actually overlay workouts on top of each other, but I can quickly compare hill climbs or field tests against each other and see. Something kind of fun. So if you guys ride the same route or you put in the same notes sometimes or you have the same workout, if you're getting high cadence workouts this time of year, you can search by that and just see, is your leg speed getting better? And so I think that's it on the calendar side. Any questions? No? So then go into the dashboard. Here is that comparison I was trying to bring up on the beta version. So I have October 2012 to, let's see, I change this all the time because I zero in on different time periods, and so it's never constant for me, and I think that's something that as athletes you guys can pick up on too. You can always play around with these dates and what you're seeing. So if we're in October, I'll go ahead and click on today, and it'll slowly update. Now I have peak power in there several times. I like to see peak power overall in watts per kilo. I like to see it in watts per comparison. And then I also, I think I usually have it a couple other times. Oh, maybe they disappear. So a lot of times I'll put it in not only watts per kilo, but just watts. So here you can see these are all-time peak power values. That was probably somebody else's file that I uploaded to my account. I do have peak heart rate in there, mainly for this reason, 218 beats. Okay, and a lot of them were set on 424. So obviously something was wrong with the heart rate monitor that day. So then what I do is I go to Map and Graph. Again, this is probably something for your coach to do so that we can correct things. If you are going to delete erroneous data, I would always let your coach know. But I can go to BPM and I can just delete it. And then it's going to take heart rate out. I can apply it, and that's only if you're 100% sure that the data is worthless. I know for a fact I didn't have 218 beats per minute. So there's really not a whole lot I can do with that heart rate data. If I refresh, it'll take those out. So I mainly use the peak heart rate to find erroneous heart rate data. There's the performance management chart. Another thing I really like on the classic version is the fitness history. So this gives me an idea, again, similar to the performance management chart, similar to the, timing, power zones. I can quickly see what's my athlete doing the week of and per month. How much time are they putting in? How far are they going? How much PSS are they accumulating? KJ, basically how many calories are they burning? And peak power values. So if I, again, going back to working on explosive power or working on VO2 or working on thresholds, hopefully I will see a buildup of what we're working on. So I look at that and see, okay, or if they're on a recovery week and they, have a new 20-minute peak power, well, probably something, we had a disconnect there somewhere, if it was a whole recovery week. Sometimes recovery weeks are only 3 or 4 days, so it is still possible, but it gives me a quick clue as to what's going on with the athlete. So that's pretty much the rundown. Anybody, questions on anything?
Is there a fitness history in the new one?
You know what? I didn't see one. Let's look. There is?
Yep.
Somebody says yes.
Yep.
So
I have it online.
you do? Oh, yes, there it is. I can drag it on. Good question. Well,
Thanks.
fitness history is what I want. There you go. Nice. I think, was that Anna answering?
Yep.
Thanks.
Sure.
Another thing that I think is pretty underused is metrics. I have a couple of athletes that are really good about putting them in, and if you can get in the habit of it, it does help us. I like to compare two that kind of go together. I'll look at weight or overall feeling, or I'll look at overall feeling and stress, sleep, and overall feeling. Depending on the athlete, I plug in different kinds of things because I do coach people with, really stressful jobs, or, they're balancing family and career and training and a lot of stuff. And the metrics really kind of help me see how are they feeling day to day. So if you're not using that, I would encourage you to. And that is, anybody can add that at any time on the calendar. If you, let's see. So if I click add and I click metrics, right here, I can put in any sort of thing. Sleep quality, and these are the ones that I look at mostly, right? Overall feeling, sleep quality, mood, fatigue, motivation. Rest-wise, some people have that, sleep hours and weight. And those really help me kind of see what's going on with the person. And you could see the calendar. I think you can view, let's see. Does anybody know where you view or where you can put in metrics, or does it just show up if you put it in? If I put like, let's see if it just shows up. Oh, it just shows up. So you put it in and it's there. Questions on anything else? Did you find this helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. And people learned something, anything that you wanted to know that I didn't cover? There is one thing, I don't know, this is pretty cool with the new version. I just remembered one more thing. If I want to upload data. So I already have my OScience plugged in here, but let's see. So if I go to, let's this out and do it again. So I plug in my GPS computer, whatever it is. Maybe. Now they're all opening. Okay, and then I click on removable disk, and then I click on activities for mine. I could select all of them, or I could select one. No more device agent. If I just drag this over, the new system knows to automatically plug it in, and you can see now I have a duplicate. it just automatically uploaded it to the correct date based on the fit file, which is kind of cool. So you don't have to use Device Agent, but you still can use Device Agent if you want to upload your data the regular way. When I was saying that you don't actually have to ever log into TrainingPeaks, if you get your workouts emailed to you and you just use TrainingPeaks Device Agent, a lot of people don't realize you can even make comments from Device Agent. So if I upload it here, it defaults to the computer name that's uploading it, but I can also say make comments here that actually go into my TrainingPeaks log, and I click Save. It uploads, finish saving. So you can do it either way, but if you want to put comments in, and then if I refresh, now we should have 3 of those. Maybe. So here's the last one that I uploaded, and hey, didn't have my comment. Maybe it's the first one now. Oh, there it is. I don't know why it rearranged them, but there, Sean Hygen, really good recovery stiff. So my comments got added, and I never actually had to even log into my TrainingPeaks account, which is kind of a handy little feature. Always good to give your coaches feedback on how the workout went. Did you feel good? Did you not feel good? Did you kill it? Did you struggle? Did you bail on the 5th interval? All those types of things. I even put in sometimes weather conditions if I'm outside. Was it super windy? You know, did I ride with a group? Anything like that. Oh, nice. Somebody learned something there. All right, I think I've pretty much covered the basics. You guys all have my email address. If there's something that you want to know, you know, feel free to hit me up anytime. I hope that you got something out of it and learned something, and I really appreciate all you guys taking the time to participate.
Thanks, Sean. It was useful.
Hey, I should see everybody except for Patty on Saturday, right?
Let's see Patty too.
Soon enough.
Has anybody looked at the canyon for the road conditions?
I know. I haven't. Allison, have you?
I saw her
Allison dropped
leave.
off.
Oh, we lost her. Okay. I have not, but they're saying 50 on Saturday. I know my canyon, and I live up Coal Creek Canyon, which probably goes even higher, is clear.
Okay, great.
So a left hand must be clear. And I've heard that it's paved. The whole thing is paved now.
It is definitely
Really?
all paved.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it'll be good, I think. For
Look
all
forward to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be nice because we won't go to quite the elevation that we do when we do Lookout, which will be better for everybody too.
Do
Cool.
you have a time? Did you have a time for that, or are you going to send that out later?
I think it's 10, right? At Nobo, at Spruce Confections in North Boulder. Yeah, the usual. We're aiming kind of for the heat of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks,
See you guys
guys.
next weekend. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.